Welcome back, everyone, to Red Spotlight Entertainment. No, your eyes do not deceive you. Most of us, well, all the real people, are back in the same place, finally here on the podcast that brings you everything coming out of the world of movies and more. Today, I am joined by David Francisco and Alexis Moreno, who are joining us together, kind of like in a little bit of a conjoined little screen there, interestingly enough. I'm also joined today by Peter Martinez, who just cracked his neck for the occasion.
Oh my god.
And of course, I'm Alexis Soto, and here we are, friends reunited.
Whoa.
Well, that was nice while it lasted. This is going to be episode 499. Although, if we're being honest with ourselves, this might as well be episode 500 at this point.
Is this what hell is?
Yes, this is episode 499. Today, we are going to be talking about two films. Well, actually, one film and something else. The Brutalist by Brady Corbet, and then, of course, the latest by Kevin Feige, which is Captain America: Brave New World.
Kevin Feige presents
Basically,
Marvel's Captain America: Brave
a production written and directed by and produced by Kevin Feige. Nobody else. Well, guys, I for one just want to take a moment to mark this occasion. We are in a state of just complete disarray when it comes to reality completely unraveling, and yet here we are, and I honestly cannot even tell you when the last time was that all four of us were on the same podcast together. And I think just for the sheer fact that we're all together is something that should be noted, because this is probably as good as it's gonna get. And yeah, this is the 499th episode of the show. As a reminder, of course, that the first official episode of the show was sent out September 2014, although the real 10-year anniversary of the show doesn't really begin until 2016, so we're not quite there yet. But
It's been
a long road.
Minute.
Yes. So many different journeys, arcs. But yeah, we're gonna keep on here and talk about movies as long as we're allowed to before we're pulled, and replaced with conservative, right-wing talking heads, which should happen fairly soon.
That's what you are, isn't it?
And this show has been filled with moments just like that, in which I am not really sure how to even respond to.
Well,
it provides humor, of course.
You look like you go to school with Trump's son, the way you're dressed. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I'll try as best as I can to not take it to heart, even though that
He just
very much
got out
hurt
of
my
his
feelings.
Captain America shirt. Let him be.
Oh, he should have left it on. Wait, he got undressed in front of you guys? Okay.
For those of you keeping score at home, two of my friends just basically insulted two eras of my fashion sense. So I want to go ahead and extend a personal thank you to both of them for that. Yeah. Any comments? Because I really don't know what to say at this point. I'm going to just go ahead and try and get over that.
I like your Stanley.
That wasn't a Stanley, and I'm not in the mood to field any kind of commentary when it comes to me. That was my cue for you to make commentary about literally anything else but me right now. We're not here to critique the person who is speaking. That's not what the show is about. Like, how is it that we're not even, 3 or 4 minutes into the show and we're already laying into me as if it was the 500th episode? Not even 5 minutes have gone on by and I've already been made fun of because of what I am wearing.
First of all,
as if, by the way, I should be getting any kind of critiques by somebody who we can barely see on the screen right now.
Let's not get racial. The point is, the last comment was not a comment. It was a compliment. And I don't know why compliments set you off. But just, I maybe learn how to take compliments. That wasn't,
I don't want to really recognize that as any kind of authentic comment from a genuine place, because clearly that's not what happened there.
I liked the cup. I don't know what to tell you. Sorry, it's not named Stanley.
No, okay. That's not what I was talking about. I could care less about what you think about the cup, quite frankly.
Okay.
All right. So, does anybody else want to punch me in the face before we go on to the next segment?
David, okay. you need to give it a try. For all he puts you through, you need to let loose a little bit.
Yeah. It's really interesting how we hear so much about what I put others through. We haven't heard quite enough about what you personally have put the rest of us through. I mean, you don't see me come on this show and announce every single time that you're on. Now, by the way, I want to congratulate you, Peter, because this is the first time you didn't make us wait a whole hour for you to bless us with your appearance on your skit. Before we get into the stories today, do we have anything to say about any recent trailers? Because, recently, when we've been at the movies, we've seen, at least I have seen a whole bunch of new trailers, because apparently I don't really see trailers at all at home. The only real trailer that I saw was Superman, and we all had our deep dive about that a few episodes ago. But is there anything playing that has caught your attention as far as something that you think looks promising? I know that when we saw Brave New World, we saw trailers for Jurassic World. We saw trailers for Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four.
There was...
Which, by the way, those trailers have been out for a while now. I only really just saw them for the first time like last week. I can't begin to tell you how unimpressed I am with any of it. Jurassic World probably has maybe a little bit of promise because of who is involved and what direction they're kind of going with. But as I've been saying for years now on this channel, if it has Kevin Feige's name on it, I'm not necessarily banking on that doing anything special for me, except for the fact of it inevitably disappointing me. So if you're wondering, like, well, those trailers I didn't really care to see in the first place. I kind of was like held hostage to see those trailers at all. I know some people are going to say here, well, Fantastic Four looks cool, and maybe that'll have some promise. Maybe. I'm not going to say you're wrong. I just feel like we're living in an era now where we've consistently been like disappointed and failed by these people, and I see no reason to give them any kind of leg to stand on as far as like a chance is concerned. So to me, the answer is 0. Don't care about a single trailer out there right now. The only one would be Superman, and yet I have not been able to see that once in theaters. And we probably won't.
One that me and David saw that we were like, oh, that looks really good. But I can't remember what it was.
What was it about?
Wait, what?
What was it about?
I
I
can't remember either.
All you remember was it was good? Like, not even like...
No, like, we...
You were legit like, oh, hey, this actually looks pretty good.
I'm gonna remember. I'm gonna look it up because
Nothing?
it's gonna bug me.
I don't know how
But
you're gonna look it up.
the Jurassic trailer oh my gosh, sorry. The Jurassic trailer got me. He was laughing at me because everything that was going on, I was like, oh my god.
She thought it was scary. Basically.
No, I didn't think it was scary. I just thought, like, I don't know.
You got scared.
I didn't get scared.
Okay, whatever. Yeah, the one that we're trying to figure out was really the only one that's like got our attention. Fantastic Four, when it ended, I turned to Ale and I was like, comparing this trailer to Brave New World, at the very least, I know what the story arc for these characters is gonna be, which is just this like acceptance of them being the world's only superheroes, basically. And that's like the only neat thing about it. Obviously the aesthetic too of the whole 60s era is pretty interesting too and all that, but yeah, that's kind of the only reason why I have more to say about that one, just because Brave New Worlds was always the like horrible from the beginning. None of us could ever tell like, what is this movie about?
Quite telling, huh?
It's about a Red Hulk.
Yeah.
These aren't new trailers, but when I see them, I like them. Mickey 17.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's a good one that hardly gets played. Yeah.
Yeah, they showed a little bit more in our or at least
I've seen it so many times here.
But yeah, they showed like a little bit more footage, and when we saw it during Brave New World, and yeah, well, I'm so excited for that one for sure.
No, yeah, I'm excited for that one. I love Bong Joon-ho.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've only ever seen Parasite, he gets you'd be surprised how wacky he can get. He made a great kaiju film called The Host. It's I don't know. I remember watching it when I was younger, and I was like, "Oh, I like this movie." But it's a big monster, so I was destined to like it. What else? Sinners, I'm looking forward to because I like what's his name?
Sinners.
Yeah.
What's the okay? Who were you gonna say?
I like the director.
Which is?
He directed a little movie called Black Panther.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I was gonna say because his best films are his non-Marvel films, like what's it called? Fruitvale Station. Fruitvale Station. Creed. There was another. I could have sworn this one. But anyway, I really love those two films in particular, and I haven't been crazy about his Marvel stuff, but I feel like outside of Marvel, he's pretty cool. And again, monsters. So and you had me at that. So that looks cool. Jurassic World. What is it? Rebirth. That's such like a name generator title. What's his name? Does good visuals. The director. And it looks like more of a Jurassic Park film than a Jurassic World film. Because I think it's not talked often enough how genuinely terrible those Jurassic World films are. They're really bad. And they progressively got like dog shit. But I love dinosaurs. They remind me of big monsters. So to me, I think the best Jurassic sequel is still Jurassic Park 3. And this one has some Jurassic Park 3 vibes. So it's like, oh, maybe. I love the Fantastic Four. This is the first time you're gonna see a film made by Kevin Feige where he's genuinely desperate. So maybe improvement. Who knows? But I like the Fantastic Four. So Thunderbolts. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'll see it, but I'm not. I don't know. I can't say.
I have no idea. I can't find it.
The trailer for the movie that looked good?
I don't.
Where you know literally nothing about it?
I could be wrong, but was it The Accountant 2?
Ben Affleck.
Yeah, Ben Affleck. I never saw the first one, but I heard good things about it. I think it was one with John Bernthal in it.
But it wasn't that one.
Yeah.
Daredevil.
No, not Daredevil. Wait,
Was there a trailer for Daredevil?
No.
No.
I don't think so.
They really should
Do that?
do that thing.
Are you sure there wasn't? Like months ago, I mean.
Oh,
No, I don't remember one.
to be honest, I don't know.
All right, so do we have any expectation for that show?
Right now, no. Because they went through the same bullshit that Captain America New World Order did. Where they kind of filmed a movie and went, fuck shit. It's no good. So let's just completely remake it over again.
You found it?
Yeah,
Yes.
we found it. It's
What is
The
it?
Amateur.
The
Did you see that?
amateur.
It's basically like
So it's about this guy who works for the CIA, but he just I don't know what exactly he does. He looks at a lot of
he's like a computer guy.
Yeah, he's a computer guy. He looks at a lot of camera footage or
It's
security camera
Rami
footage.
Malek.
And his wife gets killed. And so, the CIA show him, it's like, hey, we're sorry, but your wife got killed. And all
I've
that.
seen
And
that
he wants-
trailer.
Yeah.
With Rachel
Brosnahan?
Yeah.
Mhm. So, but
Oh.
he wants to take revenge, but the CIA is like, dude, you're not a killer. You just.
And he said, bet.
Yeah, basically. And it looks really cool.
No, Rami Malek looks like a killer.
Yeah. Did it inspire anybody when, so I know that we were talking about Daredevil being retooled. The person that they hired to be the so-called showrunner said that that the earlier show, which I don't know what he was referring to. He was talking about the Netflix series. It sounds like he was the earlier Daredevil Netflix series, saying that it was at its best fantastic. At its worst, it was two characters in a room talking about what a hero is. I thought that had been done.
It's tough. Maybe he could mean like the shows were just a little too cheap, a little too low, whatever. He wouldn't necessarily be wrong because Netflix got real fucking cheap with those shows. Like real cheap. Again, it's so hard to pull apart these comments until it actually comes out and you see it. Especially because who knows how much he was even able to make it his own. Because I think they said they were going to use some of the same footage.
You said they were going to salvage things. I guess to me, it's like, it still hasn't been made clear because we ultimately know what's going to happen. How quickly are they going to kill off Karen and Foggy?
That's the thing. Because they weren't, supposedly, they weren't going to be part of the show originally. And then it was going to be like, oh no, they were just going to be killed off like the first episode and like a flashback or something and then just continue the show. But then fan demand was like, oh no, include them all. Here's the thing. I noticed Kevin Feige, I don't know what it is. He's not good at picking up the pieces of what other people have put down. or at least it scares him to like do something new that's already been done. Like, I think the reason why he hasn't done the X-Men is because he's afraid to like try and tackle the same characters that have already been tackled. The reason why Spider-Man, I think he even said, like, I couldn't imagine anyone else as like the Green Goblin or like Dr. Octopus and other characters. So he just kind of uses the same characters in like the same thing. When he's birthing his own thing that hasn't been done before, I think he feels a little more confident. But when he's touching something that's been done before, he gets a little iffy, I think. And I think that's the way he was with Daredevil, where he loved the Daredevil show, but he was like, So then he finally just settled on, fuck it, just do another season of that Daredevil show. Which, I mean, yeah, no shit, that's what you should have done in the first place.
Yeah.
So, I probably should mention the fact that since we've been off air, a lot of things had happened. I'll just boil it down to this. This award season has been so insufferable for me because no one really to root for. And then the moment it got a little bit interesting, where Emilia Perez was like exploding, Carlos Sofia Gascon lit herself on fire, and like, wow, we have all these options. Then in the span of 24 hours, 3 award shows say, fuck it, Honora. And now this whole season has been wrapped up. And it's done. So last time we did a podcast, there were not even any nominations. Those nominations themselves were pretty infuriating. And then the ultimate conclusion of where we are right now is even just boringly insulting. I mean, good for Sean Baker, but I can't bring myself to care. What a terrible award season. I mean, Kieran Culkin did nothing, and he's going to get an Academy Award.
They love him.
Because they love Succession. Go fuck yourself.
They love
him. I can't stand that. And then, you don't even have the decency to go crazy wacky with Emilia Perez, because not that I would have wanted it to win, but it would have been hilarious for the chaos. You can't even do that. Great. And then also, The Brutalist was like right there. Oh, but then I had to like it. And then, of course, the whole thing collapsed like a sandcastle. So here we are, where once again, we're all coalescing around somebody who I'm like, cool, I don't care. There were way better options. So I don't even know why I'm complaining. It's the same thing every year. But this year, it's just like nothing to really look forward to. That's just my perspective. Do you guys have any other takeaways?
Well, first of all, we got to start charging you for these sessions.
Great. You already used that comment last time.
I know, it's funny every
So,
time.
I mean, if you're not going to actually follow through on it, then shut the fuck up.
I'll send you a Venmo.
Good.
You don't have Venmo.
2.
Exactly.
I don't have Venmo. They didn't know that. The listeners didn't know that, you piece of shit. Okay. Second of all, it was always going to be Honora. It was always going to be Honora. Honora was the front runner from the very beginning, and then all of Hollywood collectively had an aneurysm and started to obsess.
Well, you know, Peter, I never knew you to be that person. Well, I told you so from the you are that person. But
no, it's not.
But
even
now when it's like
a
bandwagon, yeah, sure, whatever. But you were always saying Emilia Perez, Emilia Perez, Emilia Perez. It looked like it could have won, honestly.
Yes.
I think that was the real front runner, and then things just blew up because
it was. Oh my god, that's what I'm saying. I never said it wasn't possible for it to be the front runner. I literally said it's probably going to be Emilia Perez. That's why I said Honora was the front runner for the longest time. Hollywood collectively had an aneurysm and became obsessed with what's it called, Emilia Perez for some reason. And then, but then I think the whole scandal and the insane level of backlash, and honestly, rightfully so, it's a piece of shit movie. Kind kind of caused
But
them
that's
to go,
not the
like, fuck
backlash
it,
that's hurting
let's-
it, though. It's the
Yeah, no,
backlash
no, yeah.
of... I mean, it's a piece of shit film. They got 13 Academy Award nominations and will win Academy Awards come hell or high water.
No, yeah.
That
yes.
backlash is not what's coming into effect here for depriving it of winning any further trophies. It's other backlash that has nothing to do with quality because these people already played their cards. They love the movie.
Yes, I agree. It's like I said, I don't know what happened to their brains. They just became obsessed with the film. But then certain backlashes happened, and now they just defaulted back to what was the original frontrunner, Anora.
Here's what I don't understand. What happened to this?
They brought it. Oh,
I
I
thought
thought
that
you
was
had the
gonna win.
Blu-ray on you. I thought you lifted it up. No, that was never gonna win. I think it's too.
He might win.
He's
he
gonna
might
win.
Yeah, but
Most likely. Yeah.
not the movie itself.
I never thought.
No.
Well, once I saw it, I was like, no, the Academy won't go for it because it's to me the most interesting part of the Academy is sort of like psychoanalyzing the voters of like what's the movies.
What
they
are
go
you
for?
seeing?
What are they gonna like?
that
Yeah.
we're not.
Yes, basically, and just trying to understand a certain group of people. And to me, The Brutalist, it's too long, and it's too kind of weird and depressing, I think, for
That's a bad
the
combo.
voters. Yeah,
Go ask Flower Moon or any Scorsese movie.
yeah, it's very adjacent to something like Flower Moon, where they recognize it's good, but they're not gonna love it. Like they'll give it nominations and wins here and there, but it's not gonna. They're not gonna fall in love with it. Honora is the kind of film that they'll fall in love with. Amelia Perez, I don't know. That's a whole new thing. I don't get. But like, if it wasn't Amelia Perez, I could have seen like something like A Complete Unknown, or something like that. But yeah, it's just, I agree it's not surprising that it may be boring and it's to a certain point of view. But it makes sense if you understand the psychology of
No,
the
I mean,
Academy.
I don't disagree with that. I'm just so unbelievably disheartened and disappointed. But I usually am. But I guess in this instance, usually there's like a win I can get excited about. Is there anyone, and I mean this to everybody here, is there anyone you're looking forward to winning?
No.
That's what I mean.
Like in any
Like any category. Like,
Yes.
oh, I
in
really
any-
want to see
in
this actor
any
win.
category. Like, oh, I'm stoked to see Adrian Brody win, or I'm stoked to see Sean Baker he'll get 2 Oscars. He'll win director and he'll win screenplay. Oh, I'm stoked to see Honora win, or Demi Moore. I guess Demi Moore winning for
That
well,
would
if
be
she
interesting.
wins, because I'm still kind of like, well, we'll see. I'm pretty sure the Oscars love to be bitches at the last minute and snatch it away from people who are seemingly the
More
frontrunner from
growing.
genre films. I mean, I could definitely see them like saying we're not going to award a horror movie and give it to like this Brazilian film that has this whole like support behind it with Fernanda Torres. I could totally see them doing that. So it's like when you take that away, okay, well, what's there left to celebrate?
Wallace and Gromit might win. Just because the British influence.
Well, speaking of them, they gave
They
their best
adore.
film. They gave best film to Conclave.
Really? You know what? If Conclave got like a secret, like
Wait.
low ball chance underdog came in and won it, I'd be like, that's pretty cool. I'd like that one.
Yeah, so I no longer care, and I'm ready to move on for the Academy. And it's like the nominations were also just dog shit every year. It's like no challengers. Like zero
Yeah,
up and down the ballot.
that's insane. Challengers should have gotten like 13 goddamn nominations. Queer should have been in there. Dune 2 should have been a much larger.
Where the hell is Dune 2, man? That also just feels so intellectually like insulting. No Furiosa.
That one, I it sucks, but I understand.
Yeah.
They only
Dune
They
is the
only go
one
for
I
the
will
big
never
films.
like.
Mhm.
What do you mean?
that one's unforgivable.
Yeah.
Because it had everything going for it. All the massive stars, all the money, the genuine critical acclaim, amazing director.
Well, as far as being a
beloved
power
director.
player is concerned, Dune has it all and should have it all. But Furiosa definitely deserved to be in there as far as like effects is concerned, effects and sound.
Deserved.
Yes,
But it's
these
the
people would never have
Oscars.
gone
What's
for it. But
deserved.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm just saying for like what I would have liked to have been included. Fuck these
Yeah.
people. But I
But
will
that's what I
say,
mean.
it was surprising to see them include Nosferatu for 4 nominations.
Yeah, that's
See,
another.
every now and then they'll throw things in there where I'm like, huh.
What are the 10 nominations again?
For picture?
Yeah.
Honora, Nickel Boys, I'm Still Here, The Brutalist, Emilia Perez, Conclave. The rest don't matter.
Okay.
Yeah, it just Amelia.
Oh yeah,
Perez
Dune. I
just-
guess was in there. Yeah, Dune.
Dune. There's so many better films
Mhm.
other than Amelia Perez. Amelia Perez should have been. This is what should have been the history of that film. It drops on Netflix. Like no one watches it. Maybe a few people watch it, and then like 5 years from now, it like gets discovered and people share it on Twitter, and it's like, oh, you guys ever hear about this funny, weird movie on Netflix? And it gets popular for like 2 seconds, and like that's it. That should have been the history of that film, but for some reason, people became obsessed with it. Nothing that
It could have been like a
Conservatives has-
Moulin Rouge type of thing, where it's like, it's weird, but like for some reason people like it.
to me, at least there's something there with Moulin Rouge.
Yeah,
There's like,
same.
To be fair, I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
yeah.
Does anyone want to comment on the spectacular disaster that is Carlos Sofia Gascon? You know, it's funny though. I
Nah.
will say it's funny how she was able to completely overshadow all the really bad comments the director has made. Jacques Audiard saying that how Spanish was the language of the developing nations.
I think
Here's
it
the
was
thing.
just bad all around. I do think that she got more hate because of who she is,
Yeah.
which generally just happens all the time. But
It's a Hillary Clinton thing. It's like, are there legitimate reasons to hate her? Yeah, for sure. But also being who she is, it's like there's already built in like
hate.
fever of hatred,
Yeah.
you know, that's gonna multiply it tenfold.
It's like they gave like a go for everybody that already hated her to be just like, boom.
And the director, I mean, he's speaking like a French person. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
That's how French people talk. Like, yeah. The French aren't known for their kindness. I don't know what to tell you. It's like the Germans with their dry humor. Or lack of humor. The Brits have the dry humor.
Okay. So we saw a movie called Captain America.
Oh, you want to start there? Okay.
Yeah.
I had the Brutalist pulled up. I gotta switch gears. Hold on. Actually, no, I had Bridget Jones pulled up. Why did I have Bridget Jones pulled up? Captain America. Brave New World. Directed by Kevin Feige. The future favors the brave.
Was
After
it
meeting
actually directed by Kevin Feige?
No.
No.
Oh.
He basically
I mean-
took control of
I
it.
mean,
Officially
yeah,
or
but like,
unofficially?
I thought it was.
Some guy named Julius Ona. Is that how you say it? Ona?
It didn't matter to them who he was. It shouldn't matter to us at all. So
That's basically what I'm saying.
yeah.
The future favors the brave. After meeting with newly elected President Thaddeus Ross, Sam finds himself in the middle of an international incident. He must discover the reason behind a nefarious global plot before the true mastermind has the entire world seen red. That is a good... I like that. I like that last one.
He said they got me.
Let's go watch it again.
I like that. But you know what? Let me go get my ticket. No, that sentence was better than the whole movie. Has the entire world seen red. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's good. I like it.
He's gonna
Anyway,
get a
starring
t-shirt with that.
Anthony Mackie, Harrison Ford, Danny Ramirez, Shira Haas. Wait, is that her name? Yeah, Shira Haas. Oh, I guess this next one's a spoiler. Tim Blake Nelson, get fucked. Carl Lumley, he should have had top billing. Oh, I forgot he was in the movie. Giancarlo Esposito. And
I forgot he was in there too.
also Liv Tyler. Spoilers. Anyway, yeah, other people. This is a movie. This is Marvel's 52nd film. Yeah. Who wants to go first? I know David had strong feelings.
Yeah.
I have the review right here.
Oh, yeah.
David's review?
You did a review? What the
Yeah.
heck?
Did you cut out the slurs?
I was
Yeah, I
honestly
think he
being
had-
as nice as possible. Well,
He had a. I know he originally uploaded it to Breitbart, but how'd the review come out?
I don't know what that is, but right. Okay.
Okay.
No, yeah. I didn't like this movie. This was. I was honestly.
May I interrupt you? If that is your real feeling, then you should probably edit this review because I see a heart. Maybe you should remove the heart if you didn't like the movie at all.
Oh yeah, I
gonna
just
put that out
I
there.
always do that in every movie, like it, and then even if I don't, so maybe I do it later. I don't know. I'm too lazy, but
Don't let him
What?
bully you.
when Alexis sent those tweets about how this is basically a Incredible Hulk sequel, I was like, that might be a little bit exaggerated. No, it is literally an Incredible Hulk sequel. Everything from that movie gets brought up here, and Captain America. It shouldn't be called Captain America. Sam should have even been in this. Where the heck did this thing go
Also,
wrong?
Where did that title come from?
Brave New World.
Well,
it was originally supposed to be
New World Order.
Yeah,
World Order.
I mean that's.
but I guarantee you it doesn't make sense. But I guarantee you, because of our current political climate, they got scared from using that title and they changed it to Brave New World, which I think is very indicative of the political inclinations of the film as a whole.
Mm-hmm. And
Keyword cowardice.
yeah,
Not to interrupt you, David, because I feel like ultimately we all feel, some kind of way about in Marvel movies and everything. I have a clip here from the Big Picture show that caught my attention. They're kind of all over the place, some general observations. But I thought it was, I think it speaks to where we are.
these movies aren't funny anymore. The special effects are not good. The fight scenes are kind of dull. There's really no consequences to 80% of the action set pieces. It's tough, man. I like these movies a lot. I used to like these movies like a fair amount, and it's just sort of strange. I wonder how long they can hold. Because when do you lose the essential 40% of your audience that's like, I don't really understand. I'm just going because they're fun movies.
Like when does the production value and the when does that break? Because
I thought this was the worst yet.
It is so noticeably awful. And
And she's referring to the visual look of it, not the film overall.
I don't care for like the comic book aesthetic. It's never gonna look like beautiful fine art to me, but it's just
It should.
They can't make it work.
I mean, it's just gone down. I mean, if you go back and
of course,
and
it used to at least
Iron
be
Man
acceptable.
3 looks like the fucking conformist.
Totally, and the
compared to
fight
this,
scenes at least made sense, and you believed that someone, they were connected to the story. If you're only going to these movies to see Red Hulk and Captain America fight, at this point, I don't even think the movies are delivering a positive experience, a positive fight. So
it feels like they're it almost feels like.
And then this last one here.
I didn't even really understand what it was trying to communicate in terms of morals or ideas about superheroes, America, good, evil, natural resources,
radiation.
Or hostages. And I didn't have a good time.
It communicated buy more merch. Go to Disneyland.
David, it sounds like you were saying that the film. I know you and I had a discussion off air that this frustrated you for a lot of reasons. I think ultimately, unless I have something very wrong here, all of us kind of were frustrated with this viewing experience. I don't think anybody here walked away being happy with the film. I think all of us can probably point to moments that were like, those are some good moments. But when you put them all together, it didn't work. It didn't coalesce around something that actually felt cohesive. I got to say, my initial reaction while I was watching it in real time was actually kind of impressed in that, I was legitimately expecting the worst movie they've ever made because of how many rewrites, how many reshoots. It wasn't that. But I mean, what does that even mean anymore? To say, oh, it wasn't the worst Marvel movie. Okay, but bottom 5, bottom 10.
Okay,
and at that point, that's a long list of Marvel movies.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Because I saw some people being people posting screen grabs from the first Captain America, and people going like what the hell? You guys always talked about Captain America like it was bottom tier Marvel. All of a sudden, you're talking positive about it. What's the switch up or whatever? And it's I mean, not me. I always loved that first Captain America movie. Same. But let's say that's true that a lot of people talked about it that way. There is no switch up. The only difference is there's been 20 other movies and they're a lot of them are shit. A lot of them are a lot worse. So it's maybe there used to be Marvel movies that a lot of people considered bottom tier, but a lot of movies have been released since then. They release 3 to 4 a goddamn year. Guess what? Now, to a lot of people, they're probably middle of the road because a lot of these more recent ones are a lot fucking worse. So, and that's someone who I have it in my top 5.
No, yeah,
Captain America 1. Or top 6.
From the beginning to Infinity War, Thor: The Dark World was the only one people were kind of you don't really need to watch it, And then now these other ones come out, and it's all those ones are beating Thor: The Dark World. So,
but they look worse.
They look worse, yeah.
Visually, they're worse,
and they're worse made than the Dark World. The Dark World actually is beautifully made, for the most part, in comparison to what we have going on here.
That's the big problem, right? Because it's like, I am so down with a movie that's on all other levels except visual might technically not work or even be dog shit. Because if you deliver on that visual experience for me, I'm kind of in and I have a good time. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Valerian in the City of a Thousand Planets. It is not a great movie.
Yeah.
But kind of fucking bonkers and visually great.
Mm-hmm.
And I can to me, I can have a great time with that movie. I love fucking Tron Legacy, where you can tell that movie, it has kind of a messed up script. Protagonist is kind of boring. It has good ideas, but doesn't fully, explore them. But visually, it's awesome. And the soundtrack slaps. And I can just throw it on at any time and just awesome, I have a great time. Marvel movies used to at least have a level of that where it's like a lot of people talk about not liking Iron Man 3. Again, Iron Man 3 like in my top 6, 7. There's great set pieces in Iron Man 3. I love the set piece when like they're all falling out of the plane and he's trying to grab them all and like save them at the same time. They show behind the scenes they actually threw motherfuckers out of a plane like 10 times and then strapped a camera to them and like grabbed them, and they did shit, right? And now it's just lame and ugly, and it's, if you can't even deliver on the character stuff, right? Because that was the first thing to sort of fall for Marvel, is they started to get uglier and the action started to wane. But people are like, oh, well, I like the characters and I like the overall story, so I'm gonna stick with it. You lost the overall story. You're doing nothing with the characters. Like, character-wise, literally nothing is happening in this movie. The only one that changes or grows or has anything happen to them is Thaddeus fucking Ross. It's a Red Hulk. People say, oh, it's a Secret Hulk movie. It's not even a Secret Hulk movie. It's a fucking Red Hulk movie. He's the only one that's treated like a sort of protagonist.
Well, I would even say that's even a bit too charitable, considering how little of the Red Hulk is actually in the film, right? That's why I feel like the most
Thaddeus
apt
Ross.
comparison to what this is a weird Incredible Hulk 2 without the Hulk. And this time it's about the villain. It's a Thaddeus Ross movie. They didn't make a Captain America movie. They made a Thaddeus Ross movie. The movie begins with him. And at the end of the movie, he's the only one that gets any kind of resolution.
Yeah, the movie opens with him.
He gets a happy ending too, by the way. Like, legitimately, he gets a happy ending.
I'm guessing he died in the original cut.
Yeah, there was some behind the scenes stuff that
I'm guessing there's a lot of changes. Yeah. Oh yeah, there was shots of them going to a funeral.
I assumed he was going to die going into it. So it's a really interesting choice.
I thought so too when he slashed him, or like just in general. I was like, this man's going to get a heart attack or something.
But this is a character that in the universe already had 2 triple bypasses. Yeah.
6 bypasses.
Essentially, right? So, like, it's... I don't know, like... The reason it doesn't work on that standpoint is because that clearly wasn't the intent. The intent was, make a Captain America movie. But you don't. Captain America is not the main character in this movie. It's Thaddeus Ross. It's a Thaddeus Ross movie. It's like one of these like really strange situations that makes me think of the Phantom Menace when no one can actually point to you who the main character... Well, actually, not that bad because that one... There's like no main character, but at least in this one there is a main character, but it's not the right person. The supposed main character, Captain America, is just kind of here and kind of sleepwalking
really
through
annoying.
It is
Especially,
very annoying.
I mean, I don't actually know if you guys liked it or not, but I really like the Captain America show. So that, like, Anthony Mackie's character.
There's a show?
Falcon and
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
And
I like spaced out. I was like, what? I was like going through my mind palace. Was there a cartoon? Like, what is she talking about?
but so that, like, I was really looking forward to this movie because of Anthony Mackie, but it just like was not a movie about him.
What's frustrating is that show should have been the movie.
Yeah.
Because he actually goes through like a struggle and an arc in the show.
That was it, basically. That was it. I just feel like this is how quickly we've devolved. We've gone from Marvel films not caring at all to have the main characters go through any kind of arc. They're the same at the beginning as they are at the end, basically. That was bad enough. Now, they have basically become so incompetent, they can't even make a movie about the character that is advertised on the goddamn title.
Mm-hmm.
They like switched it up. It used to be that the Marvel villains were like whatever, like throwaway characters, and now they get their own movie.
Well, it's like, think about, Captain America 1, obviously it's all about Cap, but Winter Soldier, it's a very personal film about him.
Which, by the way, this film has done no favors by how hard they try to compare themselves to Winter Soldier in the marketing.
Winter Soldier.
Yeah, well,
I mean, the movie itself.
And then also the whole mystery. There's for whatever reason, there's a whole mystery angle, kind of trying to like work off of the whole mystery of Hydra and Winter Soldier. What mystery is there when we all know that Harrison Ford is Red Hulk? Everybody knew that going in. That was the grand reveal.
I don't know why they did that. That was crazy.
This is honestly, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, they didn't know what to do with Captain America, with Sam, because it's like,
because think about it.
This whole
go ahead.
Like the movie was basically trying to copy Winter Soldier and Civil War and all that, but it just didn't. But they just didn't know what to do with Sam. Their main focus was
like.
I'm
I know. I can see you struggling because I can hear it.
Who can hear you?
Because she can hear my
person behind me.
headphones and all that. So I'm sounding echoey and all that. But like she's laughing because like I'm genuinely shocked of like how the fuck did you guys even make this movie at all? But yeah, I feel like they didn't know what to do with him from the very beginning.
Think about the Winter Soldier. It's all personal. Like, the Winter Soldier has a personal history with Captain America. The ultimate villain is Hydra, who has a personal history with Cap, Steve Rogers. You know, it's about specifically him and his sort of his own supporting group and people that he cares about and feeling alienated. And you see all that. And people say Cap 3, it's a little more Avengers. Sure, right? But it's still very much like centered around, you know, he has a personal relationship with Tony. So the issue between them is very real. And with all the other heroes, and again with the Winter Soldier and all that stuff, it's very real. Here, there's like zero connection between Captain America and every other character, and everything's going on.
The most you can say is that Ross and Sam exchanged some like not so nice words in the past.
Yeah, he locked him up, but Sam doesn't. He doesn't give a shit. Like it's very much like, oh yeah, we had some issues back in the day, but it's like there's no real history between him and Ross, or him like the leader. Who's the real villain?
Tim Blake Nelson. Tim Blake Nelson, like, or even introducing the Serpent Society. But I gotta say, there also isn't much history to Thaddeus Ross. I mean, we saw him in one movie, him being Thunderbolt Ross and going after the Hulk, right? And then the other movies, he was just a background character, just like, hey, I'm the visual character stand-in for Sokovia Accords, and that was it.
But I guess it's like there's no connection anywhere, because when I think of Ms. Moreno just said right now how she really liked the Captain America show. Guess what? You saw his sort of life, his supporting character. You got to know him as a character. It's like, oh, here's his sister. They have he's an uncle. He's literally Uncle Sam. They're trying to keep this sort of business that their father had afloat. You know, he's feeling sort of inadequate, and he doesn't know if he can rise to the challenge of being Captain America. He has his best friend Bucky, who's, you know, sleeping on the couch of his what do you call it, of his house or whatever, and also eyeing his sister. But there's just a lot of like, you understand those character moments that sort of made Marvel thrive, and none of it exists here. Like Carl Lumley, the way he gets to meet and connect with Carl Lumley, because at the exact same time that he's sort of feeling the difficult tension of being a Black Captain America, he meets Carl Lumley, who tells him, like, this is all bullshit, and he learns his history, and it's compelling, it's interesting. And I love Carl Lumley, but it's like, here he's in prison, and that's kind of it. There's no exploration of his character. Even Danny Torres, you kind of met him in the show here.
But then they put him unconscious. It's like literally his whole story just got put on pause.
And at this point, we're so like 30 plus movies into it. Another observation that I made, you know, going off of what you had just mentioned of Daniel Ramirez's character basically being like put out of commission. We're now in a point where in real time, as we're watching scenes happen, it just comes across as if Marvel is just recycling sequences and scenes and storylines. Like, here we go all over again. I whispered over in Peter's ear when that happened, and I'm like, this is beat for beat the exact same thing that happened in the last Captain America movie to Don Cheadle's character. What's his name?
War Machine.
War Machine.
He literally fell down
to kill characters, so they have them where they like fall from great heights. They're in surgery, but don't worry, they're gonna be okay. But it's crazy to me because the biggest problem that Marvel has is there's too many goddamn characters.
Yeah,
they're juggling too many stories where it's like, man, and especially because
they killed off Maria Hill.
Them, sure, fuck it, dude. Sure, but that's my thing. They eventually get rid of them, or they do it in the worst opportunity. It's like, you really don't need War Machine around anymore as a character. Not really. They should have killed him in Civil War. There should have been consequences like that. And there's other characters too where it's like, why do you still have them around? Like, there should have been more definitive, like, of excising these characters, because we don't know what to do with them, and we're just kind of done. I don't know. Someone else talk.
Alexis.
No. Yeah.
Oh.
Do you have anything to say?
I did, but I lost it. Continue.
Okay.
I'll think of it again.
I was just gonna bring with what Peter was saying. I mean, it's just that idea of trying to keep it going. Oh, because comics went on for 50 years and all that, blah blah blah. But yeah, they should have for sure committed to like ending some characters, especially if, you know, after Endgame they were going to commit to what's called
continuing like the storyline.
No, doing the whole resetting the universe type of thing. The next Avengers movie.
I also just wanted to say, can you believe how right we were in July 2019, that Comic-Con, when they announced all those phases, and we were like, this is not going to end well. And now here we are like 5 years later, and, you know, things are looking quite dire. I mean, as far as like, you know, trying to pick apart this movie, there are so many elements and aspects of it that just, you know, really boggle the mind, and we touched on a couple of them right now. I mean, and also from just various kinds of, you know, standpoints, right? Just things that just make no sense. Like, why market the movie on Red Hulk if he's barely in the movie, right? And then also, when it comes to like the in-character reasonings for why we are here, why does Thaddeus Ross want to bring back the Avengers and he destroyed them? Why did he want to be president in the first
Oh,
place?
that was like something that we were talking about.
With Bucky specifically, though.
Like,
Why do they
when
have now
Sam had
Bucky running for office?
I don't mind that. But, like, my thing was, okay, at the end, Sam was like, yeah, we gotta get the Avengers back. What Avengers? They're doing the only other characters we know about, they're already having a movie.
Speaking of, like, this is 2025, right? This is the 6 years after Endgame. 6 years. And Marvel still can't, like, how many projects have there been characters talking about, I want to be in the Avengers. I want to join the Avengers. What about the Avengers? There are no Avengers.
Fuck them.
So the whole thing is like, why are we in every movie having conversations about this nebulous group of people that don't exist anymore?
By the way, this is directly Kevin Feige's fault. And I hate that no one is pointing this out.
Uh-huh.
He was the one that decided.
If his name was
not have
Kathleen, he would get the blame.
Yeah, for sure. There's literally direct quote from him saying he's the one that decided not to have an Avengers film at the end of like every phase, the way he did this one. He's like, no, like we'll just have like the big Avengers film at the end of their big sagas, I guess. That's when they'll have an Avengers film. He says because every movie is gonna be like an Avengers film basically, because there's gonna be so many characters crossing over. So you don't need that Avengers film. That's fucking stupid. Because the point of the Avengers film is to orient the audience and point them in a direction, have them have an understanding of the world, right? So you have all these characters going out doing all these different things, and then they coalesce in that film every few years, and it sort of provides the audience with an understanding of what's going on. Of course, no one knows what's going on now because there's been 5,000 teases to things that are absolutely never gonna be produced now. It's just a really stupid idea, and I think he attempted to reorient the audience with this Captain America movie, but you can tell there's still genuinely no plan. Like we didn't stay for the after credits scene, Alexis, and that's because I don't want to, because I already knew what it was, and it was stupid. Me too. It was bullshit. It was literally just like there were other worlds out there. So you can tell, like, damn, they have no idea how this movie, what this movie is going to be. All they know is it's going to be a multiverse movie. They have no idea what it is, what it's going to be about, honestly, who's going to be in it. They're probably going to be, again, just writing the script up until every time the camera rolls and then sort of rolling the dice on what comes out. Because they just don't have a clue.
Not yet.
As to what it's going to be.
Wait.
Even their teases of like the X-Men, I genuinely don't think they have any idea. I don't think it's gonna coalesce in any.
Well, those teases in and of themselves have been so confused. Don't you remember the rage and terror we all went on when we watched Miss Marvel, and all it took was a little da 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 da, and we were all
I
like,
was waiting
what?
for that here.
oh, can I tell you some of the leaks? I don't know how true they are or not.
Wait, David has something to say.
Oh,
David, raise your
you
hand.
lost it. Ah.
No, I remember now. No, you were talking about the after credit scenes and talking about how like they don't commit to anything. Even that after credit scene didn't commit to the multiverse thing because it was Sam talking to the villain and he's like, "I see it coming. What are you gonna do when you face it?" And I'm like, "Wait, hold on." Why? This was the perfect opportunity for you to
Pennywise is gonna come out.
This is the perfect opportunity.
Before we get to those leaks, Peter, before you get to those leaks, it's also just a hilarious happenstance when we get a Marvel movie that both acknowledges the Incredible Hulk and Eternals. Pretty funny, right? Like, wow, both movies that never get mentioned, and now here's a Marvel movie that mentions them both. By the way, I'm not giving them props. I'm like, it's funny.
No,
also,
it was still
I'm sorry?
it was still weak the way they brought up Eternals, because it was just
Oh
like,
yeah,
yeah,
I'm not
there's this-
complimenting them, David. I'm just saying, hey, it's hilarious, and also just kind of like haphazard how it was presented, obviously. But then also at the same time, you got to think about this. If I can give the movie anything, I will say it made me curious to revisit Incredible Hulk for the first time. Can you tell how? Here's another aspect in which the film kind of didn't work from the very beginning, right? Which was the dialogue. Can you tell how hard they were working from the very beginning to work overtime? Because the film opens with like Thaddeus Ross has won the election, but then you have all these like newsreels, and it felt like it was there only really solely to remind the audience that, hey, by the way, there was this film 16 years ago called The Incredible Hulk. Here's who this person is, and here's what happened in that movie.
Mm,
It was so clumsy. And I was like sitting there thinking, wow.
yeah. Why?
Wow, this is. And then you also, David, mentioned another point where at the end when they're in prison, and you said that it felt like how in recent weeks there's been this recent article where Netflix is not going to have shows made where they write dialogue specifically for people who are half watching it, where they write the dialogue where the characters are actually literally narrating what they're doing or what they did.
Yeah, basically. Well, first, the beginning part with expositioning the Incredible Hulk. Why did that bit need to be there? Of here's this character, Bruce Banner's ex-girlfriend. Just, oh my god, I hated that.
Yeah,
so much.
it was. Also, why was Liv Tyler used like in one scene?
Yeah.
If they're gonna put
reshoot.
Mm.
But again, if you're gonna, my fault. I forget that these people are incompetent, because in a better movie, you could have made me care a lot about Thaddeus Ross and the daughter thing, right? In a better movie, despite whatever history was in the past, you could have had a relationship there be in the film.
Mm-hmm.
But it's non-existent. And the whole time, we keep cutting back to him being sad that his daughter is not in his life. She's not in this movie.
Yeah.
And it also, like, 'cause, I mean, at the end of the day, he is a Hulk character, and in this point in time where, like, our Hulk is, why? Like, he's so, like, at peace with himself that it's like, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
They've completely fumbled Hulk as a character in the MCU.
Well, you can say the same about other characters too.
No, and I have.
And you have, and I think you're well
I think
to
Black
do
Widow
so.
as a character sucked. I think they.
But I
completely
feel
fumbled
like, wasn't there also a version in this movie where they were gonna bring in other Hulks, right? Like they were gonna
Yes.
bring in She-Hulk and.
I think from original leaks, I think this is back when they didn't even have a script. They were just throwing stuff at the beginning. It was basically just a Hulk film with like Captain America in there for some reason.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think they wanted both Bruce Banner and what's her name?
She-Hulk.
She-Hulk and Hulk's son. Remember he has a son?
Yeah.
It was gonna be a
If you
whole
watch
freaking thing.
She-Hulk, She-Hulk, it's
Yeah.
you see,
Like Bruce
one more
Banner?
character. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Well, you know he's a Hulk.
Hulk?
He's half
He's a
alien,
Hulk.
half Hulk. He got busy when he was on that planet. In
Sakaar?
Thor.
just look at us.
Sakaar, yeah.
He has no
And
idea.
what's even funny is it's not built up to at all in the show. Literally, the last episode, like the last 2 minutes, he just walks in and he's like, "Oh, hey, look, this is my son." Everyone's like, "Cool."
I thought
Are
that
you
was
showing her?
fake.
You thought this was fake? The actual picture from the show. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Like, I thought somebody just, like, made that as a joke. Or it was, like, those filters. Shut
No.
up.
What's funny is he ever gonna show up again? You think that son is gonna be in Secret Wars?
Oh, no.
Also, I mean, they were really trying to set up new Avengers. Or Young Avengers, not New Avengers.
Yeah, and then it seems they've just dropped that.
It seems
So
like
it feels like we've
sucks
wasted so
because-
much time introducing these
That would have
characters.
been, like, actually interesting. But
So
Yeah,
Kevin Feige
I
was
would've watched
literally
it.
trying to set up like 10 storylines at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Which,
Sloppily.
you know, in the beginning of this,
like-
it was fine because, you know, we all kind of thought, like, oh, yeah, you set up Young Avengers and you just leave it as a Disney Plus show. And that would have been completely fine. Yeah, it would have been a little bit messy once you make an Avengers movie and you put them in. Some people might not know where they're from or something, but, you know, even with Avengers Infinity War, you just kind of have to say, it's like, no, there's shows here that you can look back on, and it would have been perfectly fine. But they just made a mess of everything, and you don't even know what order you would watch these movies.
Before we move off of this, because I know that Peter has some leaks that he wants to get to. I mean, it's kind of cliche at this point. Giancarlo Esposito being in this movie. Forgot about it.
Again.
I forgot
He
again.
just shows up, and that's it.
He goes in and out of the movie, probably added in, because notice how when he's shot in the film, like he's just kind of isolated. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of Harrison Ford's scenes are kind of isolated themselves too. And then Tim Blake Nelson as the leader. One of the
I don't
laziest things ever.
He was in a single shot with another character. I don't know if you guys noticed that. He was never once, like, physically in the same space with another actor. Like, even that final confrontation between him and Sam, when they were outside in that park, you could clearly tell they were green screened, and they did not actually. They were not in the same space talking to each other. That shit was.
And you're
probably
talking about
shot
the
months
leader
apart.
and Sam, which is a lot
Yeah.
better than later on, where you have Sam in front of Harrison Ford with those cherry blossoms.
oh,
Probably.
we literally just looked at each other and we're like, what the
Jesus.
fuck?
Did they shoot it this afternoon? Like, holy shit. Terrible. God awful. Yeah.
Another one
The
of their
only, I
techniques
think,
that they won't change.
interesting fight or scene that I liked was the fight scene in the air. That was the only time that I was, like, entertained.
That was the only thing that stood out, if at
Yeah.
all. But the rest of it kind of just, we're on the same page. It just washed away. I know, Peter, you had mentioned something about you being too hard on the Russos.
Yeah.
Sure, whatever, but they're really actually good at action. And I even saw somebody like, by the way, I think what's unique about this whole ordeal with Brave New World is, for a change, it's not just us that feel this way. It seems to be pretty universal. I'll give you some examples. Grace Randolph even said, maybe it's time to retire the Marvel action team, the action unit, and bring some fresh blood in here. But I think most of all was that B- cinema score, the lowest for any MCU movie. And that to me speaks less about one individual movie and says a lot about where the audiences are with this universe. For as much as the critics use their reviews on Rotten Tomatoes to reflect where their current relationship status is with a current like franchise, the audiences unknowingly do it too with cinema score. And that's what I kind of been seeing here, because I don't think anybody can really sit here and tell you that Brave New World is the worst movie, but it still has a lot of the worst tendencies that plague all of their worst movies. And I think this kind of, and you tell me if I'm wrong here, but it kind of says a couple of things at the same time. Deadpool and Wolverine was a fluke. It was a one-time thing that people were like, you know, it made $1 billion. People liked it because they liked the characters, and that was it. And it had no impact whatsoever on turning the ship around. Because you don't go from Deadpool and Wolverine to this, and it gets a B- cinema score. That tells me that we're at a point now where people are like in no mood any longer. Peter, do you read it the same way that I'm reading it, or do you have anything else to add to it?
For the most part, yeah, but I would also add it wasn't a fluke. What's gonna happen is every other little thing that Kevin Feige was setting up, following Secret Wars, all that shit is dropped. You are never seeing the Young Avengers. You're never seeing so many other things. You know why? Because he's immediately gonna go hard into the X-Men. You're gonna get an X-Men movie. You're gonna get a Wolverine movie. You're gonna get spin-offs of all kinds of it's good. They're gonna become an X-Men machine.
X-Men is like the most consistent thing that's been happening in all the Marvel movies since Endgame.
Yeah, no, he's gonna is in because he has really shitty instincts when he's backed into a corner. His response to like one bad movie, well, it was a lot of bad movies, but two bad rotten movies, I guess, was to immediately go back and hire Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom. Like, he has Bob Iger instincts where it's like, just go back to that well and beat the dead horse until a pulp, right? Like, I bet you he is blowing up Chris Evans' phones like, please, please,
Peter,
please.
here's the $1 million question.
Mm-hmm.
Despite everything, can it still work? The next two Avengers films with the Russos.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know who the main character will be.
I think Spider-Man, they said, right? Spider-Man is going to be the new Avengers leader. Is that what they said?
I don't know if they want that though. When they're always in shit flinging contests with Sony, especially now that Sony's whole idea of a universe went kaput. I mean, they refused to make a freaking Hulk movie and share with Universal. I don't know.
They did make a Hulk movie. It was called Captain America: Brave New World. It didn't even feature Hulk as a character at all.
But that's why they've completely abandoned. Hulk was the big three. You know how people talk about the big three?
Yeah.
For DC, it's Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. The big three for Marvel was Hulk, Spider-Man, and
X-Men.
Wolverine.
Oh, okay.
And the X-Men as a whole, but really Wolverine. Those were the biggest sellers. And they have completely allowed one of their biggest players, the Hulk, to completely fall to the wayside because they're unwilling to like profit share in a film, right? So they've completely destroyed one of their characters. God damn it. So I'm just thinking of like everything that was planned up until this point is just gonna drop and they're gonna go straight into X-Men. But also another thing I wanted to say earlier when we were talking about like the way they set up for like the next films, it's really bothered me, and it's their inability to sort of have a spine or a backbone or do anything interesting or slightly controversial when it comes to their characters, because they're afraid of losing their characters when they already have too many characters, right? But I think about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the way they completely butchered the film by forcing a unbelievable redemption by what's his name, the Captain America dude, the guy who was Captain America for 2 seconds.
Oh, John Walker,
John something.
Russell Wyatt,
John.
basically.
Yeah, Russell Wyatt. Because
Or Wyatt Russell.
Wyatt Russell.
That
They
guy.
had
Yeah.
they had no idea what the next movie for him was going to be. They didn't know what the story was going to be. What they did know was that he was going to be on the team. So they couldn't have the audience not like him. So they needed to leave the audience with a positive idea of him, even though it's completely antithetical to the entire character up until that point. It was like the stupidest. I hate what they did. And it just signifies everything shitty about what Kevin Feige does. Especially because it would be so much way more fucking interesting if you went into the Thunderbolts where, yeah, he's tarnished. He's viewed at negatively. He fucked up bad. And he's sort of trying to claw his way back to be a better person. As a U.S. agent or whatever. But it's too late because they already were like, actually, he's great. You know, at the end of the show, it just fucking sucks. They're not able to do anything interesting with these characters.
He could have been like
the new ones that they introduce.
He could have been like a cool character comparison with him and Bucky in that movie.
Yes, it could have been cool. It could have been real fucking cool.
Yeah.
Not all protagonists need to be perfect and great and altruistic 100%. Sometimes it's interesting to follow a character that's kind of a piece of shit. You would think the studio that made Tony Stark the number one superhero in the world would understand that, but I guess not.
I mean, they very clearly have lost their way. All up and down the spectrum here, obviously, with this is concerned. I gotta ask, honestly, here. The next couple of projects that Marvel has, Daredevil, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four. The B- cinema score that Captain America just got is really bad. Does the potential exist for the rest of them to be disappointing
Yes.
and bad?
Yes.
Yes.
And where does that leave Marvel then?
X-Men.
Yeah, we all know that X-Men is going to come bail them out. I gotta say, though, like, how...
You asked, huh?
Well, no. You already said that. My thing is, how many bad movies in a row can Marvel make without things kind of capsizing? At least
but that's
partially.
my point. It's a dumb question because there's only so many movies until Avengers and then hard reset to X-Men. So it doesn't matter if they all fail.
Yeah. I mean, Fantastic Four will like be, I think
it'll be a massive hit. Financially?
Whether like if it fails, that's for sure gonna be like the straw that breaks the camel's back and all that type of thing. And then Avengers needs to be the one to really bring them back up. But they can't expect success from that one though. They need to hope that like people give it, 100% Rotten Tomatoes score at the very least.
The only difference for any failure is just how many more X-Men films Kevin Feige is going to greenlit. It's like, oh, this one underperformed? Let's get that Storm movie made. This one underperformed? Ooh, X Factor. Okay.
So what were those leaks you were going to say?
X-Force.
X-Force.
Uncanny X-Men. Astonishing X-Men. That's it. I'm out of X-Men.
So about those leaks?
Yeah. Okay. I don't know why I opened my phone like I had them on me. I don't. Let me try and remember. Okay. So, from what I understand, the Serpent Society, because the Serpent Society is, I think, the only actual Captain America villain that's actually in the film. Everything else is Hulk stuff, and then Eternals is in the background. The Serpent Society as a whole was actually a larger part of the film, and they had like other members. Other members were officially, you know who is a member? They hired her. They shot scenes with her. She was in a superhero costume. Alita, the actress.
Okay.
Alita Battle Angel.
Uh-huh.
Have you guys seen that movie?
Yeah.
And she's been in other stuff too. She's kind of like a wellish known actress. People like her. She was had her on set. She had like, I forgot the name of the character that she played, but it's a member of the Serpent Society. She had like pink hair, a whole freaking costume made. There was like another like famous wrestler, I think, who was another member of the Serpent Society. And these are like, I don't know if you watch what do you call it? Invincible. You know what are they called? The Snake League, the Lizard League.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember their name. But yeah, they're basically
No. It's literally that. That's what the Serpent Society. The Lizard League is a playoff. The Serpent Society. It's a gang of villains that are serpents. And I again think it was supposed to be much more comic booky. Like they had their powers and stuff like that. But I think from what I understand, they cut basically all of that shit out because they wanted for a more like Winter Soldier tone, you know, serious thriller. And so they cut all that and just had Esposito. And that's how you say his name, Esposito. And that's why if he feels kind of like a late addition, it's because he kind of was. And he was inserted in the film in a way where it's like, you know, those reshoots. So he was included in that. The new Black Widow character, who's supposed to be Ross's head of security, which that's another character. The whole film, it's like, why is she here, right? Like, she feels completely useless.
She does, but I liked her.
Okay, here. Well, in the comics, she is what's the name? Sabre? She's literally the Israeli Captain Israel, basically. She wears a big Star of David. She's the Israeli superhero. And originally, that's what she was. She was gonna be the Israeli superhero. I think there's even a line, they were gonna make her a mutant. And she would talk about how she defended Israel from foreign invaders. Basically, she was a superhero over in Israel. And actually, I don't know if you've noticed, but during the scene when they are over at what do you call it? They call it Tiamat Island. No, they don't call it that.
Island.
Tiamat is the name of the celestial that got killed. They just call it Celestial
Island. Which, how do they know they're called Celestials? All the Celestials are gone. Who cares? But when they're at Celestial Island and they walk into the sub to confront President Ross, she's wearing a jacket, but you can see her superhero uniform underneath the jacket. It's blue and white. It's there. And that's the only time you ever see it. She is suited up to fight. I guarantee you she had like a whole action sequence and stuff during that, you know, everything that's going on. It makes me wonder if that maybe that was supposed to be the third act originally, and the Red Hulk stuff was maybe supposed to happen earlier. And then they sort of moved it around to make the Red Hulk White House stuff the third act. I don't know.
It felt like it. Like, I feel like there was supposed to be this big speech happening in that moment of, like, you know, not having the other nations fight each other. Like, it definitely could have led to that, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. But that's like a couple of like the main massive ways I know that they changed it. And then also, yeah, there was a funeral scene, which I'm pretty sure Ross was killed because who's the funeral for? And also everything with him up to a certain point looks like dog shit. Like when Sam goes back and does that whole speech, looks like shit. That whole ending where he confronts him in the raft prison, and then it looks like they like superimposed Liv Tyler into the movie. It looked weird the way she looked. All of that you can tell was not originally how that was supposed to go, and I'm pretty sure he was supposed to die at the end. And again, I think a lot of these decisions were absolutely influenced by their cowardice, because Disney has done a whole shift. They're very, very cowardly when it comes to politics now. They're starting to do whole 180s of like gay people. We do not see, we do not hear, all that shit, right? So I think they're very afraid of the optics of like, they're afraid, I don't know, that a certain governor would be like, in the new Captain America movie, a black Captain America kills the president who's red and angry and the bad guy. What is Disney telling the children? Like, I think they were afraid of a lot of the political implications, which another, then don't make Captain America movies, you fucking cowards. So the whole movie just comes off so wishy-washy. Like, you could tell at some point someone had a point to make, but that was completely lost throughout just so for like muddled centrism of like, we need to work together. Shut the fuck up, you know? You know what Captain America does? He shoots people in the face with his gun because he's Captain America. CIA, don't listen to this. But yeah, it's just very cowardly, the film politically. I will say though, I will mention the one or two things that I liked that were kind of cool, which was when, what's his name? Oh, when Sam is like flying and then his shield like detaches and it's like following behind him, like covering the gunfire. I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. That's a cool idea that they implemented. And a lot of the imagery of the final fight was kind of cool, like him literally destroying the White House. Like there's a point
that was insane.
Yeah, well, yeah, visually it's like cool. It's like, okay, like this is what you're kind of going for. Okay. Like there's literally that scene where it's like the White House is on fire and there's like an American flag behind him and there's like fire all around him and he's screaming. It's like, oh, okay, like I think they put the most thought of the film into that fight. And you can tell in the marketing, because that's the only thing they really market about the film, is like, hey, he fights the Red Hulk. So there was some thought here and there put for that, and I think that was like where the majority of the thought was put. But yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Some of the leaks were kind of interesting, right? It's like,
yeah.
They had an idea.
I feel like we I didn't know what the movie was gonna be, but all I kept hearing was reshoots. And I know that we did talk about like the Hulk stuff, and I feel like we all immediately were like, oh, this is gonna be way
Captain
worse
America,
than we thought it was.
Again, I really do think that show should have been
At least
should have
like
been the movie.
One of the movies.
No, I think with all their shows, it was a little stretched out. I think they could have fit the Falcon and the Winter Soldier movie into just one really solid Captain America movie. I think they could have done it. Yeah.
No, yeah.
And you know what's funny? I actually saw... I don't think I heard, like, the ending of the conversation with that, but he did, like, the actors on actors thing with, what's his name? The teacher from Abbott Elementary, the black guy.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And I was actually watching it this morning, and he actually said well, what's his name? The teacher guy.
Chris Rock.
No, it's not.
No,
Is it?
No, it's not.
Okay, well, that guy asked Anthony Mackie, like, how did he feel about, like, taking a character that's only been in movies to have his own TV show. And he, like, the first thing he said was, maybe not, like, word for word, but he basically was insinuating, like, I didn't like the idea because there was so much, like, blank space in between that it's like, how would we fill that?
Well, you could tell that, and maybe it's because Kevin Feige was producing these, and it's a lot of people that just make movies that we're now working on, supposed to be TV shows. It feels like the stories and scripts were made for film. And then they took it and they're like, okay, well, now we have 6 hours. So it can't be 2.5 hours. It's got to be 6 hours.
Mind
so,
you
like,
that this interview came out like 8 months ago.
yeah.
So
It's well past
Yeah.
the show coming out.
yeah.
But yeah, even people pointed out the action in the show was kind of nicer.
Yeah.
Like,
I
the
like I
opening
said,
scene.
I really like the show.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously it has its problem, yeah, but I think like overall I really enjoyed it. But I mean at the end of the day, yeah, like it should have been a movie.
Also, that show directly addresses like the everyone disappearing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it does that job of orienting the audience of like, here's what's going on in the world,
Yeah.
the repercussions.
And
of
that
the
show, I mean, I know like you talked about the evil Captain America guy.
John Walker. It just came to me.
He even said it.
No, it just came to me.
Anyways, I forgot what I was gonna say. What were we talking about?
You were gonna bring up John Walker.
You're gonna bring up John Walker, because I had to remind you his name.
John Walker.
Your exact words were like, I know you brought up evil Captain America, but...
Oh, it felt like that was the last piece of... I mean, not that they, like, fully, did all of this, but at least maybe, like, Disney, it was, like, the last piece where they kind of dared to do something controversial a little bit, or talk about these things. And...
it dared to have a point of view.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not even saying everything has to be... I'm not arguing that everything needs to align with my point of view perfectly or be a certain way. It just has to have a point of view.
Some people
It has
are.
to have a voice. Well, yeah, some people are, but I'm not one of them. It just has to have a point of view.
Yeah.
Because at least at that point, then it becomes art and we can actually have a discussion on it. When it's just like so wishy-washy, where there's 1,000 hands, in the kitchen, you can't even fully discuss it because it's like, well, clearly not a single person. This isn't like a single... Nothing's being said. It's just hollow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Are we at our intermission?
Alexis is falling asleep.
See,
I
this is
feel
what
like-
happens.
I feel like we should be at an intermission, honestly, just to give ourselves
No.
Fine. Go ahead.
No, never mind. Because you're gonna get mad. So you should keep
Yeah, and I would appreciate not that at the moment because we're never gonna end here. Not every goal should be getting me mad.
It wasn't even bad. I was just gonna point out something, but I know my point of view often makes you mad. So it's just...
What was it? What is it that you want to point out?
No, never mind. Just keep...
No, you want to say it, so go ahead and say it. Now you're getting me mad because you don't want to say it.
Oh, well, okay. This usually happens on a lot of our episodes. You come in hot. You monologue.
I didn't come in that hot really at all.
You come in hot.
You came in hot, going at me in the first couple of minutes. If I recall
you can't even let me
correctly.
finish what I'm going to say.
No, I'm not going to let you finish when it's a complete falsehood.
That's
not
I mean.
what happened.
This is why I was like, okay, never mind. My point is, then you tucker yourself out. You come in hot. You tucker yourself out.
All right, next movie, The Brutalist. Go ahead, pull it up on your phones, everybody. The Letterboxd. Film by Brady Corbet, a film that won the Golden Globe for Best Picture Drama and Best Director, Brady Corbet. Also Best Actor for Adrian Brody, I should say. This is a film that we saw what feels like at least over a month ago. And unlike the film that we just kind of wasted our time with, there's actually some interesting things to get into it because this is actually a movie.
That's something interesting to say.
It is a movie. Okay, The Brutalist. Directed by Brady Corbet. This is a great tagline. We tolerate you. Escaping post-war Europe, visionary architect Laszlo Toth arrives in America to rebuild his life, his work, and his marriage to his wife, Elizabeth. It's been a while since I've seen the movie. Is that how you say it? Elizabeth. After being forced apart during wartime by shifting borders and regimes, on his own in a strange new world, Laszlo settles in Pennsylvania, where the wealthy and prominent industrialist Harris Lee Van Buren recognizes his talent for building, but power and legacy come at a heavy cost. Starring Adrian Brody, Felicity Jones, Guy Pearce, Joe Alwyn, Stacey Martin, Rafi Cassidy, and Alessandro Nivola, Isaac de Boncole, Emmy Lard. I butchered all those names.
As you usually do.
I'm not good at words. Anyway, The Brutalist.
I want to let the record show that in the time that it took you to read that, there were some people who were yawning and almost had to shut their eyes. That wasn't me. So
okay, I thought you were going to say that.
Go around and throw accusations that some of us tire ourselves out.
Are you talking about me? Because I was laughing.
She was laughing.
Okay.
That was you.
Well, you know what? Let's start with you, Alexa. I want to start with you, and let me tell you why I want to start with you.
Me?
Or
yes.
Me? Okay.
No. The bottom one. That's not how I implied it. It's because visually, in the box,
it doesn't help us because
you're at the bottom and she's at the top.
Okay.
There's no implication. Point being, the reason.
By the way, I hope you know that the way you see it on your display is not how I see it on mine. So that's why it's not the same. Know. I'm off to the side, and you're the one that's at the bottom actually, and they're the ones that are on top from my display. I don't know how the Merinos see it on they. Okay. That's so. Fine. What did you say?
All right. Point being. The reason why I wanted to ask you was because you actually left the theater not quite feeling the film. You liked it, but you weren't crazy about it. But today, you were very angry because you felt like if there was any film you were excited about, it was The Brutalist, and it doesn't have a shot at Best Picture. Basically, so I'm very intrigued to see that sort of transformation.
You and I haven't really talked about this movie in a month, which is basically when we saw it, and that was when we all kind of saw it for the first time. Since then, I actually had gone back to see it a few more times. One of which was with David. we ended up seeing it together. If I think it was the week thereafter,
Hmm.
and I
Did you guys
will
get sushi?
say, I'm sorry,
Did you guys get sushi?
we did. No,
Did you get that?
What?
Oh,
You ordered
So
it
I got
side
sushi.
of ramen, or side of sushi, but we ate ramen.
oh, okay. Did you get that cum drink?
The white water thing that tastes like lemonade from Japan.
The Japanese cum drink.
Do you remember?
No.
No. Continue. I'm gonna show you.
It's pretty good. I liked it. Anyway, keep going.
Sometimes I walk away from movies not really sure how to feel about them, and I communicated that to you very clearly, where I told you that there really wasn't anything that I was seeing that was making me go, "Oh, I wish they could have done this," or "This could have been much better." Ultimately, I was just trying to tell you that I wasn't quite feeling it for one reason or the other. Since then, which happens sometimes, it actually reminded me a lot of Queer, which was like, when I walked away from it, it felt a little bit cold.
You didn't feel queer the first time?
Well, I wasn't like, great movie. I was like, this was something that I don't quite understand. The difference being with Brutalist, like, this is something that I understand completely, but I'm not really feeling. It's kind of like the inverse of it, where it's like, I got exactly what the movie was trying to communicate to me, right? But I wasn't like, wow, oh my God, wonderful movie. That's kind of like how it was. But I feel like it stayed with me. I kept thinking about it. I kept looking at what was being written about the movie. And then I kind of, and then I watched it again, obviously. And then I feel like, oh, I think it kind of clicked for me some of the things that I was kind of like missing. Because I feel like one of the things, that ending kind of really made me question, okay, well, what's actually being said here? I wasn't quite sure about it the first time. When I went back and actually saw it, and then also what I read what others were saying, and I'm like, oh no, that ending was actually very purposeful and actually goes with like everything that was happening, which was like, you can't really trust anybody who tries to communicate on your behalf what your art even is, because, and then I even read some things like, okay, that was his like niece, who at the beginning of the film opens with her basically being interrogated by what we assume are Soviet soldiers.
I think, yeah.
It's not Gestapo, because that was World War II. At this point, she's being interrogated by Soviet soldiers, and then in oh God, Urshabit is Felicity Jones, right? Urshabit? Yeah, Elizabeth.
Yeah,
Urshabit.
yeah.
Urshabit says in her letter to Laszlo that she's trying to steer the soldiers away from like prying too much on their niece. And so what I was reading was saying how in the film, in the beginning, we see how the niece was kind of like kind of obviously a victim of, I guess, some kind of like misrepresentation by the Russians. And then we wrap around all the end to the film with her now as an adult, and now she's basically co-opting her uncle's work to spread her own message. Because, it didn't really occur to me, because it really did puzzle me, and it kind of left me feeling cold when the film ended, when she says like, no matter what they say, it's not really the journey, it's the destination.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just so kind of like, what?
Yeah.
But then I realized, no, she's kind of just doing whatever she wants with that. That's not what Laszlo at any point in the film communicated he was in favor of. She just, we had kind of been exposed to in the latter half of the film, she kind of became this fanatic. If that's, I guess, an okay way of framing it, but she kind of ended up taking someone else's work and using it for her own message, which ultimately is like the immigrant's experience, right? It's what happened with Guy Pearce taking Laszlo's work and kind of making it his own and trying to like, he's propping up Laszlo, but really it's to his own devices. Ultimately, in the subsequent viewings, the pieces came together for me, and the more I realized what an incredible story this was in terms of like what it was saying about the American experience, the immigrant experience, and I also, at the end of the day, I find it to be a film that also is kind of like maybe not on the same level, but kind of quite a little bit there. But it's in conversation with something else like Killers of the Flower Moon too, for me, where it's kind of like painting this picture about America and who we are as a people. And then also considering like what's going on right now with, the government being dismantled and people being targeted because they're not in
That
favor
little old thing.
of the current usurper, if you will. Things are kind of it all kind of worked as an epic fully for me, where I'm like, okay. And then of course in the other viewings, every scene worked better. The beauty of the cinematography, just the long sequences of beautiful dialogue where the screenplay really gets to shine, as well as the actors. Like I for weeks thereafter, I was thinking about Guy Pearce and Adrian Brody in that exchange they have at the home about like where their backgrounds, and then also just having a really interesting exchange with each other about how they see the world and how they see their work. But then also it kind of worked on a different level too, where the director Brady Corbet was kind of using this film as a way to kind of like drill home on the importance of giving directors final say in their films. And then also I don't know if meta is the right way of putting this too, but you can also feel him kind of like using this film to comment on the state of where we are in the film industry too, with him being an artist, this film being a work of art, this film being about an artist whose art is basically hijacked by somebody else for capitalistic purposes. And then of course the one that really kind of felt the least subtle in a film of no subtleties whatsoever, when it cuts to the credits and you have a song, One for You, One for Me. There's a lot of really interesting layers that ended up working really well for me at the end. So it ended up being a film that on first watch, I really wasn't feeling it. But I guess in further viewings and readings, I kind of not only came around to it, but actually ended up being one of my favorite movies to think about, and one that I really look forward to purchasing because I really want to see it again. And it also was very rewarding seeing this in the IMAX options that were near our locations. But I feel like I wasn't alone in feeling the things that I felt in terms of like how this movie was kind of like speaking to me. So I hope that answered your question, Peter.
It did.
So yeah, I would say I'm very much on the film's team there, which of course, by the time it took me to win me over,
its loss.
It guaranteed its loss. So yeah, you see? Do you see why I feel so crappy all the time?
Yeah.
And what's funny is like it won awards. So one could argue
the second you started to like it more is when it went downhill for its chances.
Yep. Yeah. So. Okay, so that's kind of where I'm at here. I mean, obviously, I think the film is legitimately a work of art. I think the performances are spectacular. Quite honestly with you, Adrian Brody deserves to win again. I'm surprised no one is speaking about Felicity Jones as much as they are.
Because they didn't finish the movie.
That's what it is. They didn't finish the movie, and so she's not going to win. But she should be winning supporting actress. And quite honestly,
she's really good in the
Did
movie.
she get nominated?
Who should be? She is. She got nominated. Who? For an Oscar, she did.
Felicity Jones.
She did.
Oh, okay.
She did make it in, but she's not gonna win because it's gonna be Zoe Saldana for Emilia Perez. Yeah.
Yes.
And then who really should be clearing the field as far as supporting actor performances, Guy Pearce should be winning, and he's not winning anything.
He is great in the movie too. He's really good.
You know who else is also great too, who's not being talked about enough? Joel Alwyn as the son.
The son.
I mean,
Guy
I would
Pearce's son.
nominate him, but
Wait,
he's
whose
really
son?
good at
Well, he was all I mean,
Guy
I didn't say
Pearce's
that,
son.
but he's
Oh, okay.
also like. To me, I guess in watching it over again, he also is very good. But then again, talking about a film that everybody basically is very good in it. Yeah, I wouldn't nominate him, but I also feel like he should be put out there as somebody just to mention. But I mean, yeah, just to put it out there, obviously, the score, great.
The score is really good.
And you know what also is not being complimented enough is how quickly the film flies by with for how long it is, including the fact that there's an intermission in between. And I gotta say, with 3 viewings under my belt, I feel like the intermission really did the film wonders for pacing, and then also just having 2 clear, distinct parts, part 1 and the part 2.
I liked it. That was a good intermission. It's a good movie. Positive thoughts. I really liked the movie coming out the gate. I didn't fully understand it, but I was thinking about this the other. There's films, at least for me, where I'll watch it and I don't fully understand it, and I'm like, this movie's a piece of shit. And there's other movies I watch and I don't fully understand it, and I'm like, oh man, that's an amazing film. But I think that's because films are artistic endeavors, and they're kind of meant to be felt more than anything. And I felt this film. I thought it was really, really interesting, well done, beautifully directed, great performance, everything you said. Pulling it apart, it's interesting for all of its inclusion of things like the immigrant experience, Israel, religion, you know, specifically like you said, like capitalism, the idea of the lesser and the more. I think the film is easily most about what you talked about, the life of an artist.
Yeah.
I think that's where you can tell the director sort of honed in and sort of connected to the most when telling this story, and that sort of personal experience of what it means to be an artist. It's like, instead of an artist telling a story about and connecting their experience to tell a story about the immigrant experience, it's like they took the immigrant experience to tell their story about what it's like to be an artist. It's kind of like the opposite. Because you can feel it in everything in the film. Because I'll see some people arguing about, like, what is this movie's point of view on Israel? I don't think the movie necessarily has one. I think it's
and that's not what it's here to do, honestly.
Yeah. I think it uses these countries and these religions as a backdrop to point to something a little bit more, just something smaller.
Yeah.
Rather than a sort of global point of view. Although I do love instances where it does sort of hit with a sledgehammer, this idea of the American immigrant experience. Like, I love the opening of the film as they're reading the letter and they're moving through the boat and the music swells and then they move, you know, they're out into the open air and it's the upside down, what do you call it?
It's
Lady
literally
Liberty.
an omen.
Yeah, it's literally, it's like the upside down cross, basically, but with Lady Liberty. And then even when he finally has that breakdown with his wife in the truck, where it's like they don't want us here.
That stood out to me. That scene
just that
right there
whole-
just really stands out. They don't want us here. Him flat out saying that.
But what's funny is the director probably had that freak out with his wife talking about movie executives.
Yeah.
They hate us. They don't want us here. They want to use us, and that's it. But I love, it's a film that's also, it doesn't hold your hand with everything. Like you said, like the first time you saw it, it's like, like you kind of had to think about it. You had to listen to what other people themselves, their opinions on the film, and kind of piece together how you felt about it. But there's so much of the film where it's you're just kind of unsure exactly what happened or the implications of everything. Like,
And that's also like
yeah.
part of it though, like being
Yeah,
an
for
artist
sure.
and like letting people like interpret your art, like you have to let that go. And
Well, that's what's so interesting, because so much of the movie you're with Laszlo and you have sort of an understanding, somewhat of an understanding of who he is as a person. And he's not a perfect person. He's actually a very multifaceted individual, which makes it so much more interesting. And then you hard cut 40 years later, and it's that sort of ending where she's saying the speech, and she's giving sort of exact ideas of like the reason why he built the building in this exact certain way is specifically because of this reason and that reason and this reason, and she just pulls back any sort of mystery or idea to his art or who he was as a person, and she might not be wrong to how it is, but it's just interesting. Previously, when he's asked to espouse about his art, he's just so coy and like, so he doesn't, none of that is part of it, kind of. But also so much time has passed. Who is this person now who he was previously? Did he move to Israel? Did he stay in the United States? Because when they talked about so much of his work, a lot of it was in the United States,
Yeah.
even beyond that building. So it's like, did he ever, he wanted to leave with his wife. He said he would. Did he really? We know he can be full of shit and a liar sometimes, or just not go through with his commitments. He was also a drug addict, No, it's just a fascinating film. One that it's to quote the great civil rights leader, never mind, I forgot his name. Anyway, the point being is the way,
I was
why are you
bracing
laughing?
myself.
I was too. I was like, oh god, what's he gonna say? Kanye West or some shit like that? Like, Jesus. That was
Kanye West would hate this movie for many, many reasons. He would despise it.
Would he though?
Who knows? Maybe he wouldn't, just to be a contrarian, because that's the only reason he exists, is to be a contrarian. But no, I actually really love the film. It's also so beautifully paced. It's a long fucking movie, but I never felt the length. I think the editing and the pacing of the film is just impeccable. Like, really, really good.
David.
Nah, yeah, I love this movie too. What you just said, the incredible pacing. Every second of this movie, it had my attention, especially when, you and I, Alexa, saw Nickel Boys right before it. And,
Oh, yeah.
there were some moments though where I was even kind of like, oh, look at my phone. This one though, I didn't want to look at it. I for sure wanted to stay wanting to see every single frame of this. And I want to say like it's subtle in its messaging, but also, yeah, it's very much hitting you with a sledgehammer with it. But like, what I mean by subtle is this, like, you really don't catch the moments where it's trying to, or at least you miss the moments where it's really trying to show like the bad parts of the immigrant experience and all that. Just like there's a little comments that they make about him and his religion and all that. It's just sort of like a blink and you'll miss it moments, and I like those type of things where you kind of like, wait a minute, was that that's
not right.
Yeah, I don't think I was right. It's like, wait, hold on, I gotta pay attention to what's going on next. And it's like you really gotta watch it to get like watch it multiple times. I mean, to really get what he was trying to say in this moment and all that. Yeah, beautifully filmed movie, and yeah, I don't know what more to say from what you guys brought up, but.
I love this movie. I thought it was so good. I mean, I think my favorite parts of the movie are the moments where you have to sit. And while we were watching it, when we got to the intermission part, when we went out and we were talking about it, like I told you, my favorite part is when we sit in his art and just appreciate it and sit in it, and even like that part where even he himself is like, damn, I killed them. You know?
He's crying looking at his art. Like, my shit's good.
Yeah. I just love those moments, and I love how this movie has so much to say about everything, but doesn't really give you the answers. It's just kind of up for interpretation, and that's at the end of the day what the movie is trying to say. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so cool to just think about it and talk about it. And yeah, like I feel like every time we kind of read things about it and stuff, we're just like, oh shit. Yeah, and I feel like we've talked about it a lot. I mean, again, we saw it a month ago, so we've had a lot of time to sit and think about it. So yeah, it's so good.
It's not winning. Thank the bottom for that.
Again, in this particular exchange, everybody here has been referenced as a bottom, so you need to be more specific about which one are you talking about based on which screen you're looking at.
I think she knew exactly who I was talking about. So.
Okay. You make it really hard sometimes to kind of go from one thing to the other when you throw things like that, and so I'm trying to I had something to say, and then now it's just been completely erased from my mind because we had to go ahead and delve into distractions like that. Do we feel that there was a moment in this film that I was definitely curious to see what all of you felt about a situation that happens where I guess when it happens in real time, it feels like it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You're saying a specific one? Which one?
The abuse. The physical assault.
I mean, it's shocking, but I actually don't think it comes out of nowhere specifically.
I think in retrospect it actually doesn't, but when
in
you're
the first
watching
watch,
it for the
you're
first time,
kind of like, oh
yeah.
fuck. Wait.
Yeah, we were
when he starts calling him like a slut or something. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
But again, going back to think about the moments leading up to it, you're just like, damn, this guy's he's a creep. And
no, yeah, I would say so.
And I feel like even when you get introduced to his character, the whole time you're just, which I find really interesting, you're just because he's doing nice things for him, but you know that it's for his own benefit, but you're also kind of like, but he's doing nice things for him.
This is also why I mean by like subtle. It's because in every moment where they're talking to each other, I'm waiting for the moment where he is straight up like he's straight up either gonna say some slur or just straight up just gonna say something that we all go like, oh come on man, like why would you say that like right in front of him or something like that? But you don't really get that, and so but when you really think about every moment, yeah, it's like what she said. It's like you're doing all these nice things, but we all know deep beneath, like you're just trying to gain something for yourself.
And that's also like, what does that say about us? Where I feel like, at least for me, it was kind of like, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but like in the back of our heads, we're like, we know how this is gonna turn out.
Yeah,
you know,
we already know it's gonna
obviously like he's seeking to profit out of Laszlo's art. Obviously, and you get it from the very beginning that he's very much envious of Laszlo's talent, and I feel kind of voices that with how dissatisfied he is that he's merely a proprietor and not the actual person behind, you know, the magic and the talent. But I feel like, you know, he develops kind of a catchphrase in this movie where he says, like, I find our conversations intellectually stimulating. I feel like he was just trying to say, I like you. Because then what happens later on with the assault and the things that he was calling him, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. At first, you kind of feel like maybe it's just like a power move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I thought the first time.
I thought he was just trying to like stroke his own ego in that moment where he's just kind of like, oh, I can.
Trying to stroke something.
He's. He's.
And don't derail the conversation, Alex.
Anyway, he's, you know, he was hoping, but just by being next to him, he's gonna sound smarter or seem smarter for others, or just make himself feel smarter and all that. That's just kind of how I saw it as.
Yeah, but then it became something else.
I think the way he started referring to him, it's almost like an anger, like a jealousy.
Yeah.
Not necessarily of his intellect, but of his like.
Just who he is.
Like.
He was also like referring to Laszlo in terms of how he talks about how his people were overpowered and how they deserved because they were weak, and it kind of became a weird thing where like he was making sure that Laszlo, to communicate that he saw Laszlo as inferior and weak to be dominated, right? That kind of a sense there.
He kind of came off like an incel.
Yeah,
like, you know, it's like those goddamn whores, you know. They're freaking women or sluts, and like
all the while he was trusting in it.
But all the while they're like obsessed with women, you know. They're the most obsessed. He kind of comes off a little bit like that, where he's very, I think, infatuated and somewhat obsessed with Laszlo, but also like hatred and views him as lesser than simultaneously.
Yeah.
A little bit of that.
And then also, I guess the part that isn't as subtle, I guess you could also make the argument that Brady Corbet was like, this is also just straight up allegory for how, you know, the artist's work is raped literally by the movie executive or the Hollywood system.
No, I can definitely see that as part of it.
Or also how the immigrant is raped by the American way. Like all those three work at the same time, which I find really fascinating.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It works on like 2 to 3, maybe even 4 levels when you look at it certain ways.
It really does.
And different scenes have different implications, and different characters.
And that's something I can't say about most movies.
No,
that's actually pretty impressive how it's able to like. I mean, I gotta. Maybe some would think that it's juggling too many things at once where it borders dangerously on saying nothing, but I don't think at any point the film came close to having nothing to say. It has a lot to say. And I think it communicates that very effectively. And when you're watching it, like, I feel like, David, it becomes a little bit less subtle, actually, because you catch it a lot more quickly, just from the get-go. A lot of the hostilities, the minor hostilities that Laszlo encounters. Like, I mean, the whole conversation, and this is before the accident happens at the library when they break the mosaic, but like, and then Guy Pearce like catches them, but like the whole exchange that he has with like Attila's wife, you know, she's trying to like blanket what she really wants to say with niceties, like, you know, you can find a better job somewhere else. I'm sure you're good enough to be somewhere else. That bitch wanted him gone because she didn't want his kind there. And she just wouldn't let it go. And he got the picture where he kind of finally told her, I'll look for somewhere else to stay. Because she would not drop it.
I think it's funny how
she couldn't just say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. How they kept calling him ugly in the movie. I don't know why that made me laugh.
Did they change? Did his nose look differently at the beginning? And then like he had an accident. He got punched by a guy and then it went back into place, right? Is that what happened? The movie begins and the nose is a little bit out of place and then he gets punched back into place.
The thing is, he has such a big nose. Like, I couldn't tell.
But like that's also part of it, isn't it?
Somewhat. I think it's more of a storytelling device, because that's the reason why he starts taking was it heroin?
Yeah,
isn't it?
Opioids,
that other thing too is that was one of the first things. That was the very first American thing introduced, which was on the boat on the way to America as a way to deal with his pain.
Yes, which
ended up also kind of consuming him toward the end of the movie. I wanted to comment on something that I wasn't quite sure what it was saying. What do you think was going on in the scenes with the brothels in the beginning of the film and him not being able to, I guess, really get into it?
I think it's his wife.
Probably, right? Most likely. Because he doesn't know if she's even living.
He has that scene later on when they're finally in bed together for the first time again. And he's very distant towards her and really pushes her away. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of that has to do with like shame and guilt. And I think that's when she tells him like, I knew about these things. And he kind of like sort of breaks down crying and stuff like that.
About that scene.
That's the way I interpreted it.
Mm-hmm. No,
but like I said, the movie, it's not 100% clear. It kind of just shows you these things. But it feels like there's intent. That's why it's so interesting to me. You can watch two different movies where you don't understand the films on both. But one of them, it's like, no, like, I don't understand it. But there's very clear intent. And then another movie, it's like, I don't understand it. I don't understand it because it's dumb and stupid and pointless. It's interesting how you can have those two different ideas.
David?
He's gone.
I forgot it for a second. No, I kind of interpreted it as just like he wants to be loyal, but he can't help these certain tendencies. Hold on, ambulance. I hope it doesn't get picked up, but
he's a drug addict. He doesn't have a hold of his what do you call it? Impulses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's that. But also about that scene though, where his wife was like, "I know what you did." I was kind of laughing in that moment. I don't know about you guys.
God damn.
He said, I got caught.
I don't know what I was supposed to interpret that. But like, when she was just like, I know what you did. And I'm like, This is
I hope that was
creepy
the
as
only
hell.
scene you laughed at.
It's just funny because like this is kind of creepy as hell. What the heck is this? Which I mean, I know it's like a sort of a setup for when that one scene happens and she knows what happened basically, and that's when she confronts Guy Pearce's character.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I was laughing.
I wasn't.
Maybe the most tense moment of the film when Irshabit goes to confront the Van Burens at their home, where she reveals to all of them that he raped her husband.
That was a little funny to me in that, like, she was just blunt. I thought she would come in.
Wait. That was...
Well, because I thought there would be like some finesse to it, you know, like she would say something and imply like, I know what you did, and then storm off. But no, she's just like, hey, you're a rapist. You raped my husband, like in front of everyone. I didn't think she was just gonna say it. I thought she was just gonna be like,
Can I talk to you?
You're a bad man.
Can we go to
yeah,
the
like
room?
Can we go to the other room? You're a piece of shit, you know? And you know what you did, and like try to play coy and stuff. But no, she's just like, what's up? You're a rapist, get fucked. I was like, oh, okay. The forwardness of it was it just caught me off guard. I was like, whoa, she's really going for it.
How it escalated, obviously, with the rage that she was getting back, and then I think all of us are a little bit like, whoa, when the son just kind of like literally kicked the walker away, you know?
That was crazy.
That's where she laughed.
Me? No.
So we all had inappropriate moments of laughter in the film.
I guess.
Basically, it's what
Yours
it
was
like.
in the salt mines, right?
Oh my god. No. It wasn't there.
I
Oh,
think
okay.
in that moment, me and Alexis looked at each other. We were just like, "Wait,
Are you seeing what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of awkward just sitting there like, wait, what? What's happening here? And then for how it happens, and
And then Peter fell
Yeah.
asleep because he knew what was gonna happen.
oh yeah, he puts his head down at the scene. Or whenever
If you
there's
know
any
it's
kind of like, physical
happening.
intimacy. You know, it's really interesting because like when we saw Queer, you definitely had your head down in all of those like sex scenes, but we just saw Companion, and there was a scene there where I didn't notice your head
scene?
down.
Which scene? They don't
There
have
was
a
one
sex
scene. There
It was
There
2
is one.
seconds.
Okay.
It was literally the end. It was a hard cut. Yes.
Oh, I see what
Remember
you mean.
the
Okay.
snap
I thought you
cut
were thinking
caught
about
you
the
by
end of the
surprise?
movie. No, it wasn't the end of the movie. It was you mean like it was the end of the sex.
The end of the sex, yes.
Okay.
If it was like an 8-minute sequence like in Queer, yeah, I would have took a little snooze.
What the Okay.
Also,
Okay.
Companion, really good movie. You guys should see
I
Companion.
want to see it.
Yeah.
It was
It's
a lot
really
of
good.
fun,
And his
guys.
other
It was a
movie
lot of
where
fun.
he doesn't feel pain. It's the same guy, right?
Oh, yeah, Narcan.
Yeah, Jack
Yeah.
Quaid.
Nope.
Novocaine.
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 Novocaine,
Not
but it's
Narcan.
Jack Quaid, who's the same actor who was in Companion and in that other movie.
He's also in The Boys.
And- oh, The Boys, yeah, of course.
Well, everybody knows that. That one. Yeah, I feel like it was a really interesting film. It was definitely one of my favorites. I'm definitely looking forward to it coming on physical. I mean, I'm a little bit disappointed in myself. I mean, I have a lot of like different things that I need to like invest in. So physical media is like on the bottom end of my like priorities, but I still try and get like digital versions of them because I want to see the actual movies. So it's like I could like buy a digital version of Brutalist today, but at some point I imagine there's going to be like a Blu-ray, so it's like I'll just wait for that one.
It's having a official A24 release.
It is?
Yes.
Oh, wait. I thought sorry, so like I thought you said Criterion, not A24.
No, A24.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But they're because A24 they didn't really used to have like A24 releases, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But they have like packaging that's like specific. You've seen it with the some of the other releases, like
Midsommar.
No, not like that. Like I'll send it to you. But it's getting a release.
Great. Good news for physical media releases. Yeah. Was there anything else anyone wanted to say about the movie?
It was great.
Well, I think we're go ahead. We're well into. We're done. Anyway. I don't know what else to say at this point.
He tuckered himself out. This is what I'm telling you.
Thank you so much for watching this show and listening to the podcast. We had a time of some sort talking about A Brave New World and The Brutalist here. Stay tuned for the continuing adventures of us trying to find some bit of positivity in anything and everything going on in the world of movies and more. Stay under our red spotlight, and we will see you guys for episode 500 next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.